now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Tried a Dorito in chocolate fountain?
I have not. They did not have Doritos there for the chocolate fountain.
Good.
But yes, I had a few bites before the thing opened up. Pretty tasty.
I love it.
Again, Slumber Party back. It's coming up on Saturday night, September 18th with Kiss FM.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Oh,
Morning.
Sandy's grabbing coffee.
Morning.
It's just us. Hello, CMR crew. How
What's
are
up?
you?
Are we?
I want to say a great morning to you on this Thursday. And as we wait for Sandy to stir her coffee.
See what's going on out there in the world of
Yeah.
Cayman. What was yesterday about?
Oh, by the way, tomorrow, and I'm going to ask Sandy when she gets on. We're going back to Old School Fridays. It's tomorrow on the show. It's Friday already.
That's right.
We're going back to the year 1991. 1991. There's some good music in 1991.
Yeah, there was.
So tomorrow, bring your A game with this song, and we'll play it for you.
Good morning.
Good morning. One of the number ones. Well, the number one song for 1991 was Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Isn't that like Robin Hood?
No, it wasn't Robin Hood. It was
Prince of Thieves, wasn't it?
No,
it wasn't.
It was what was that movie? It was. I know. I can see his face. He was in it. Don Juan DeMarco.
It was Robin Hood.
Don Juan DeMarco. Isn't that was it? I'm pretty sure. Don Wando. I don't know how I remember.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1991, love theme.
Oh, that was the theme song?
Yeah, everything. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Okay. Sorry, Aaron was right.
What's Don Juan? Say it again.
Yes. 1991. I'm pretty sure I was graduating from high school in 91. Wow. That's some throwback memories right there.
Yeah, we're about the same age.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit older than me.
I am a little older than
What year did you
Yes,
graduate?
you are a little bit older.
1988.
You graduated from
High school.
High school in 88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sandy, you graduated when?
91.
90. So you were 91. Okay.
Yes. I was in
Right.
Tampa. And you know what was so interesting about 91? I'll never forget it. You know, we were all like in our AP classes and whatever. And a lot of kids were scared because they were going to Gainesville, UF. Yes. And at that time, there was a serial killer on the loose in Gainesville. So a lot of the kids
yeah.
who decided to go to Gainesville.
We were just talking about what was we were talking about do we remember I used to live in DC.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking about how Ida and a bunch of tropical storms always end up in that East Coast area. And did I ever remember storms hitting the East Coast when I lived there?
Yeah.
And I don't really remember any storms except for one, and it was the same year, 2001, same year of 9/11, anthrax in the mail. We had the DC sniper, and then there was a tropical storm. It was a tough year in 2001.
Sometimes
in
you
DC.
sometimes you think 2020 is the worst year, and then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember. And then I moved.
And then you moved.
Yeah, I moved.
And then you moved.
I moved shortly thereafter. I was
You
like,
moved-
I'm out.
I've had enough of the DC area.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very interesting time. You know, I think there's just certain times in your life where you remember certain things, just transitional phases. And obviously going from like high school to college is a big move for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are staying in state. I was staying in state. I went to USF. And then there were people who were going to go all the way half around the country.
So did they catch the serial killer in Gainesville? I don't know which
one. There was. He was on the loose.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name right now, but he was doing like campsites and stuff. But he was right around the university.
Good.
So,
I feel like I remember that from America's Most Wanted. I was 8, by the way. I was watching.
Let me see if I can tell you who he is. But everybody was like, I remember all the kids, like we would be watching the news. And
yeah, I'm gonna do a gap year this year.
Yeah.
I'm not going. No.
They were just like,
when the DC sniper
I really want to go there again.
Right. When the DC sniper was around.
Daniel Rolling was his name.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
The Gainesville Ripper.
That's right.
And it was university students that he was actually killing. And I think that's why they were like super scared.
The DC sniper would target people filling up at gas stations.
Yes, that's what it was. That's why it was wild.
And it was literally in the area where I lived. And so when you filled up at a gas station, the gas stations would, the awnings that come over top, like, the roof or whatever. So they would drape these large blue tarps over so
that no one could see.
So nobody around a perimeter could see people actually filling up at the pump.
Did he ever? I remember that, but did he ever end up shooting through those tarps?
No.
Okay.
He needed to see his victims apparently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how he got his kicks, I think.
Do you remember the tarp thing?
Yeah,
wow,
I lived in Bethesda, Maryland, which is right inside the Beltway in DC. And that's where he was terrorizing that whole area. And it was terrifying.
Yeah. Weird times.
Yeah.
Weird times. They found.
Where were you?
Sleeping in a rest stop.
Yeah. Unsolved Mysteries is coming back next summer.
Oh, I love that.
Are you kidding?
Oh
my God. I used to love that show. It would freak me out a little bit with the music, but I still couldn't help but watch it.
Or just the stories. But yeah, so the 3rd season, which has been streaming, so you can watch the new ones, but it's on Netflix.
Oh, sweet.
But the new one's the new season, if you haven't watched the other 2, which I already have, won't premiere until
I didn't know there was a
summer
second
of 2022. Yeah, so there's 2 seasons of that already.
Well,
I didn't even know there was a reboot.
Yes, there is, and it's really, really done well. Because nobody, in my opinion, can host the show better than Robert Stack.
The original guy.
Yeah,
he was the best,
isn't he?
Yeah, he died. And then they had this.
He was so old when he was even doing the show.
I know.
He was from Airplane, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. He was. Don't call me
Shirley.
Yeah. Sure.
No, that wasn't him.
That's not him.
No, that's not.
But
Robert
he was
Stack.
But Robert Stack was in an airplane at some point. Yeah.
So here's a throwback question.
Well,
Blake, where were you?
The reboot has no host, so they
don't.
Which is way better. Yeah, it's done really nicely. Scary.
That's weird.
Mm.
I need to go check it out. All right. So where were you when the shuttle blew up?
I was in high school, and I was actually watching the launch.
Me too.
I
was in middle school, but
the whole class was watching.
Yep. So were we?
Because the teacher was on board.
Yeah.
And so it was like a big thing to be in I was in Chicago in high school.
Yeah.
Was it 1986?
I'm trying to remember.
Or 1984?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I was like really young. 86. So I was 3, and my mom was like ironing and watching.
It's 86.
My mom said I was watching it live on TV, and you were like, I was a toddler, and I was at home watching it.
I was 16.
Yeah. Yeah, see that 16. That was kind of
you're young. I was in the 7th grade. I'll never forget. Just like you, I was in science class with Mr. Gentile was his name. He was kind of a weird guy. He had a tarantula in the classroom. But anyway, we were all outside watching it. And then when it exploded, we were kind of like, what is that? Is that supposed to happen? Like, we didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
We were all in middle school, 7th grade.
All right, Sandy, what do you have for us news-wise?
Okay, so the HSA is calling people to verify they're transitioning to like electronic information for the vaccine.
Good.
So they're going to be calling people, and I'll have you know that this press release came out as a result of us calling them, because someone got a phone call and they were like, afterwards they thought, have I just been like, was this a hoax or someone trying to scam me?
Yeah.
So we contacted them and said, listen, we got this query. The woman gave her information, and after the fact, she was like, oh, I don't know who that person was. So they've issued a press statement saying, listen, yes, people will be calling you. They've set up a bunch of numbers to just verify. They're going from manual vaccination records to doing the electronic medical records. And so people are just verifying.
Yeah, that's
so if you get a call from the HSA, there's the numbers are up on their website. Just make sure it's from one of those numbers, and it's legit them.
There's 10 different numbers they list.
Yeah,
most of them are 244 numbers, and there's one that's a 925 number. I think that's great because you know what? That's going to be the way of the future. Every place you go, probably moving forward in our lifetime, including our kids, are going to probably have to show verification of some type of vaccine. If it's whether it's COVID or something that hasn't presented itself yet.
Because something will.
Yeah.
This is not the first or the last pandemic.
I mean, we have to show vaccines for our kids when
every school right now that you apply to. They're like, send us as part of your application process your vaccination record.
Some places in the world, travel to West Africa.
And you know what? I think that this is interesting that the HSA is doing this, but I think they should do all vaccination records electronically, to be honest. Take that big step.
Sure. That'd be great.
It would be so much easier. Because obviously, especially if people move around and get their to compile it all together is such a pain.
You want to go to a concert? Got to show your vaccination. You want to get on an airplane? Got to show your vaccination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be the way of the future. And so if you're not vaccinated, your liberties, the things you're going to be allowed to do, are going to shrink.
Yeah, which is why I guess when people hear that, they push back a lot because they're like, it's my choice, but it's also not.
Great, you can stay home.
It's like
but it is your.
Here's the thing. I watched this video.
Meningitis.
Somebody was saying like, the people that don't want to get vaccinated, many are like, because you don't trust the doctors that created the vaccine to prevent you from getting sick. But when you do get sick, where's the first place you go? To the hospital to have doctors cure you. So you trust doctors to cure you of the disease, but not trust them to prevent you from getting it. That doesn't make sense.
No, it's just like the drug addicts who were fine shooting up
heroin,
but not get a vaccine. It's like, none of it makes sense to me.
So I tell you what, all insurance companies should get together, and for those that aren't vaccinated, they should say, you know what, fine, we'll cover you, except if you get COVID and you go to the hospital, you're not covered.
Yeah. How do you do? I mean,
why should everybody else who does get vaccinated have to pay a higher premium for those
I think it's going to be
don't
more
get vaccinated,
a higher premium for,
and you run up $100,000 hospital bill,
just like what Delta or like American did. The unvaccinated staff have to pay $200
higher
extra.
premium. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's coming. I'm pretty sure it's coming.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And there's more companies that will require their employees to be vaccinated.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So speaking of that, Walker's law firm yesterday did send out their position on all of this. So what they have done, it's kind of interesting. They're not mandating vaccinations, but they do want staff to tell them if they are vaccinated. And then for anyone who isn't vaccinated, what they're going to do is you have to wear a mask. So you have a choice. So there's always choices in life. So you can either show proof of vaccination, or you can wear a mask and provide weekly PCR tests, because they said, listen, we've got 400 people in and out of our building at least every single day. And the interesting thing about what Walker's is doing, which I think is very interesting, is it's not just staff, it's any visitor to the building. So suppliers, visitors, anybody coming into that building, you have to, 1, show proof of vaccination, or 2, wear a mask. And
here's a point I brought up yesterday, because nobody's talked about it yet, for businesses. So what happens if somebody, so we're all vaccinated here at Broadcasting, but what happens if somebody comes in once we open the borders and they come to work and they have symptoms, and then they find out that they have COVID?
I mean, we're doing radio interviews.
Yeah, we do radio. Exactly. What if somebody comes in the building, an employee, and we find out that they have COVID? Now, do they have to go home and quarantine?
We will.
There's been no law.
Well, I think that
says that's what you need to do. The company can't make you do that. It's got to be government that says you have to quarantine.
Yes, it's a good question.
But if you think about it, the responsible thing to do is everyone's going to have to quarantine. Yes, that would
be the responsible thing to do. But we know that all people are not responsible. 100%.
I get what you're saying. This is why the premiums are going up, like for going back to the airline who is charging more.
I mean, even though you're vaccinated, if you come in,
will be out of the office.
If you come in the studio and you've got COVID-19, I don't want to sit 2 feet from you every morning while you go through it.
No, what are we going to put up, like plastic partition, and we're each in our own box?
To my unvaccinated child. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Same. Maybe we should partition the whole place off with plastic. That sounds bad. Now we're going to suffocate. But holes.
Do your show from a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of
that's kind of what I do right now. But listen, it's a good question. I was just typing it so I don't forget it. Yeah. I think we should ask that question for sure. Like, what will the protocols be? Because, over the weekend, we haven't delved into this in a whole lot of detail yet, but over the weekend, there were a number of housekeeping crew at the Moritz in East End that their supervisor told them to go and clean rooms where people who were quarantined had just come out of. And now, as a result of that misstep, they are in quarantine for 14 days.
Wait, clean them while they were quarantining?
Well, they had just come out of the rooms, but the protocol is that a professional cleaning company at a higher standard and with COVID, I guess, equipment and whatever, come in and do a deep cleaning of the room after someone has stayed in there.
Well, exactly.
And that didn't happen. They sent their regular housekeepers in, and the regular housekeepers are now in quarantine because of it.
That's not cool.
Not at all.
All right.
Did they just clean the room and then just move in?
Yeah, what is that? Lots to chat about. Sandy, we'll catch you tomorrow. Don't forget 1991 for Old School Fridays tomorrow.
1991. All right. We're going way back
on Facebook and YouTube, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Aaron, what you got coming up?
All right, folks. 1991. Woohoo. Where were you in 1991? Like I said, I was finishing high school and getting ready for university. I graduated. I was a high school graduate, class of 91. That was a fun year. We did lots of fun stuff. We took a Disney trip. I didn't do prom, but of course there was a traditional prom. You get to choose your class ring and gown, and there's so much pomps and stuff around graduating from high school. It's a very memorable time, I think, in a young person's life. Good morning, Sora. Good morning, Irvelyn. Jamie's here. Felicia, Marshall, Britta. Good morning to the beautiful Grace. Lester says he's watching. Wee Wee's watching too. Buenos dias, Elizabeth. Bishop Hero Blair says, good morning, family. Looking forward to the cautious reopening of the islands. Keep safe, everyone, and get vaccinated. Some good advice there. Please don't forget, speaking of vaccinations, you know that there is this DMS drive to give away $100,000 to a vaccinated individual. And today, they're actually going to be giving away $1,000 for referring a friend or loved one. So now is your opportunity to go out there and get vaccinated. So let me tell you where the clinic is today. They're no longer at the airport, folks, because there's a lot of stuff going on at the airport, some changes there. So I do have the vaccination schedule. So tomorrow, $1,000 refer a friend campaign. So they're going to have a special on-air guest, which is Honorable Minister Sabrina Turner. She'll be calling the lucky winner. So all you have to do is tune in to Blake and Aaron every Friday morning at 8 o'clock. So basically, you just grab a friend, go get vaccinated, and then you could win $1,000, or you get put into the winnings for the $100,000, which is a lot of money. So that's interesting because I've got a friend, I've got one person, I'm going to check in with her and see if she wants to get vaccinated. Now, she's a little bit of an interesting person because she's one of those people that I see her reading a lot of stuff online and kind of like, she's on the fence. She's buying into it 1 minute. Next minute, she's like, no, I'm going to get vaccinated. Next minute, she's like, I don't know. And it's just like, I'm not sure if I want to take you, because she's one of those people who would buck her toe and want to blame it on the vaccine. Like, she was actually sick last week and she put on Facebook that she wasn't feeling well. She was sick, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know, I'm glad that you got sick now ahead of us deciding to take you in, because you would definitely be blaming the vaccine. And she's like, oh, you try and stop, Sandy. And I said, no, I'm very serious. You would be blaming the vaccine. And I mean that 1,000%, she would be. And you see, this is the problem. Sometimes people are having psychosomatic illnesses. In other words, they are making themselves sick because they are so overly worried about, see, this was her post on August 20th. It says, it's like, I can't taste or smell anything. It's been this way for the past 3 days. My elbow and my wrist on my left side are both hurting me really, really bad. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I mean, nothing to do with the vaccine for sure. Somebody said, oh, that's old age. Don't worry, gal, you soon feel better. And I said, legit, thank God you not get that vaccine yet, because you'd be blaming that. And I said, you see how coincidences can happen, but you'd swear it was Pfizer's fault. And this is exactly what people are doing. You know, your body starts to fall apart. Like you guys know right now, I've had an issue with my shoulder, a tennis elbow, a torn meniscus. All this like started to happen all on my left side, by the way. Like I'm literally falling apart on one side. And you would swear if I were an anti-vaxxer and if this had been happening post a vaccine, I'd be like, oh my God, it's taken out my shoulder. Now my elbow is gone and my knee, it gave me a torn meniscus. Y'all would be blaming everything. Speaking of my elbow, look at this. I have a little spot right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's like the skin has, like the pigmentation in that spot is gone. It's really weird. It's like considerably lighter. It's kind of hard to see in camera, but it's considerably lighter than the rest. You see it right there? It's like that little spot right there. And I don't know what would have caused that. So I'm going to go to the dermatologist and figure out, Johanna's so funny. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out what that is. I think it's actually because of an injection, not COVID. Hello, not the Pfizer vaccine, but I actually got an injection in my elbow for the tennis elbow. And it kind of feels like when my elbow is stretched out, that is on the edge of like the little elbow cupping or whatever you'd call that area. And I think that's where I got the vaccine. It would have been a steroid shot. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe, you know, maybe that's the injection shot. Maybe that's one of the side effects of getting a steroid injection in your elbow, is it kind of removes the pigmentation from that area. I don't know. I'm not jumping to any conclusions, folks. So I'm going to, I'm trying to get an appointment with the dermatologist, but That's like months ahead kind of thing. So yes, I'll try to find out. So listen, Daisy says in 1991, she was just arriving in the beautiful Cayman Islands. How old were you, Daisy? I'm curious. Daisy is one of those people that you look at her and you can never really tell how old she is because she looks like she never ages. Gorgeous. Good morning, Miss Beulah. Good morning, Carmelie. Sora says, shame on Moritz. Very, very shameful, to be honest, because I do not know how a supervisor all this time after COVID would be making that type of amateur decision, really. Louis, thank you for tuning in. Richie's here. Lolita is joining us from Guyana. We got some fans in Guyana, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. So good to see you. St. Martin it being represented by Jonathan. Larry joining us from New York. Wow. Ida flooded the parkways and commuter trains. Unprecedented flooding. I cannot believe that Ida has made it all the way to New York, first of all, and still presenting a challenge. Millions of people without power as a result of Hurricane Ida. She's no longer a hurricane, but she continues to ravish everywhere that she's going. So the death count so far, folks, is up to 6 people. And they actually have an aerial view from space of the damage that Ida has actually done. So she's drenching New York and New Jersey, Central Park. Listen to how crazy this is. Central Park recorded 3.1 inches of rain in 1 hour. Tornadoes splintered homes in New Jersey. What the heck? Power's out. They have no fuel issues. So there's actually a fuel shortage in Louisiana now where this storm hit. So the headlines this morning say Ida's wind-driven remnants pummel the New York City region. Can you imagine? They've got footage from it. It's just crazy. I'm going to see if I can pull up a little video here. It's just legit crazy. Yes, let me see if I can share this video. Hold on one second. Pull it over into my other screen. I'll show you guys what's going on with Ida. She's just like, I'm still coming for y'all. Here we go. Look at this.
That is a tornado.
Tornado. Look. She's tearing everything up.
Touchdown. Oh my God. Oh.
So, folks, those are video clips from everywhere from Pennsylvania to New York to all over. And it's just shocking what Ida did. I mean, she just kept going and going and going. And she's like the little storm that never really stopped. Maryland area, New England. I mean, she just kept at it. I mean, it was just like, what the heck? So yes, New Jersey, at least 2 deaths reported from the flooding, 1 in Queens and 1 in New Jersey area. Flash flood emergency in New York for the first time. So the National Weather Service issued a flash flood emergency in New York City for the first time ever. That's what Ida did. Yeah. So 1.94 inches of rainfall in the park during the tropical storm Henry was the last record that they had. And of course, Ida was setting all kind of records at 3.1 inches in Central Park. The mayor declared a state of emergency before 11:30 p.m., saying that New York City was enduring a historic weather event with record-breaking rain across the city, brutal flooding, and dangerous conditions on their roads. And you saw that car legit being stuck in the water. I mean, imagine being in that car. What on earth? So just before 1 a.m., the city issued a travel ban in effect until 5 o'clock this morning. And all non-emergency vehicles must be off of New York City streets and highways. You see, this is what we need. This is what we need. Pay attention, Keyman. Pay attention, Keyman politicians. This is what we need when we have a storm. It shouldn't be, oh, the police are asking you to not go anywhere. It should be a travel ban during storms and so forth, where non-emergency vehicles must be off of the streets and highways. And that was coming from the Emergency Management Office. They posted it on Twitter. A road through Central Park was dotted with cars that had been abandoned after getting stuck in floodwaters. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority advised customers in an email alert late on Wednesday that train service was extremely limited. This literally shut New York down for a minute, if not even suspended because of heavy rainfall and flooding across the region. The system's website showed service was suspended across more than 18 subway lines. All New Jersey rail service, with the exception of the Atlantic City line, were suspended. That's according to the New Jersey Transit. And at Newark Liberty International Airport, they got 3.24 inches of rain between 8 and 9 p.m. Let me repeat that. In 1 hour, they got 3.24 inches of rain. And of course, as a result, the airport was experiencing severe flooding, which they also posted on their Twitter account, confirming videos on social media that showed deep water pooling inside the airport. What the heck? All flight activity currently suspended, and travelers are strongly advised to contact their airline for the latest flight and service resumption information. So, wow. In Queens, New York, in Jamaica, Queens, one person died and another person was taken to hospital after firefighters responded to reports of flooding. And there's a tornado warning in parts of the Bronx. It's just crazy. And then after radar indicated a tornado had formed in the area, flash flood emergency again issued for a number of different areas. Whew, what a mess. Even the U.S. Open match at Louis Armstrong Stadium on Friday and Wednesday night has now, was delayed because of the storm. So life-threatening situation, folks, even as it continued to move further north. It's just quite shocking, really, because we kind of think that once a storm hits land, it disappears and, that's it. But Ida had a little bit of a punch because she came in as a Category 4 storm when she hit Louisiana on Sunday. And now she has been downgraded to post-tropical cyclone, according to the National Hurricane Center. But she's been wreaking havoc all the way up. Yeah. So millions of people, I think, are still without power. There's fuel issues. There is, they were having all sorts of issues, like everything. Everything's at a bit of a standstill in terms of the situation in Louisiana. The other thing that was really weird, I think it was Texas, that somebody got killed by an alligator. So a few people sent me that headline and they were like, oh my God, thank God that came on. The most that we had to worry about in the water was a tarpon or whatever. Remember when we had the tarpons and where was that? In Windsor Park? I think that was the storm in November that we had because of the flooding. The tarpon came out of the ocean and they made it, they made it the neighborhoods, really. So it's crazy. The Mississippi River was flowing in reverse. Did you guys hear that headline? It's just so crazy. The storms can do the most unusual things. But yes, the river was moving in reverse. No power, no water, no gasoline was what AP News had up 2 days ago for people in Louisiana. It's pretty shocking, actually. And the devastation, I've seen some of the photos, the buildings, it's just absolutely crazy. I'll show you some of these photos. Hold on one second. These people are always trying to get you to sign up for something. 1 second. So look at this. Oops, that's the wrong one. Hold on. There we go. So this is some photos here of the devastation. Look at that. Oh my God. Are those bricks? What the heck? That poor car. That's a car, by the way. All the bricks fell on top of that. So that's a complete write-off. It looks like a building collapsed. And I guess this is what's left of it. I don't know if it's a whole building or a portion of a building, but it's a lot of bricks. So there's that one. There's the remnants of a home in Grand Isle, Louisiana. Jesus, look at that. These homes look a little bit flimsy, though, I must admit. They are up in stilts, so I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, the whole top level of this home is gone. I hope nobody was there. But yeah, look at this. All wooden remnants. Like the whole top is gone. Like that's a complete write-off. Some of these other ones here might be salvageable, I'm thinking. My God, look at that house. They have some bricks, but their bricks don't look all that sturdy. I don't know. They look kind of, and this is people waiting in line at a convenience store on Tuesday in New Orleans. So New Orleans has been left without power, with the exception of those with generators. Again, this is Grand Isle, Louisiana area. Whoa. Looks like quite a few buildings are gone. Absolutely crazy. Oh my God. This was a bowling alley. Now it's obviously no longer. That's in Houma, Louisiana. No clue where that is really, but power companies trying to get back to work and restore millions of homes with power. Feel sorry for them. This is Tom's Marine and Salvage in Barraterra, Louisiana. It looks like it's more going to be Tom Salvage after that. Trust me. I don't know where the Marine was, but not much there. And then this one is Grand Isles again. As you can see, all the power lines are down all over the place as people drive around the golf cart there. There's the Grand Isles supermarket. Yeah, doesn't look good. People line up for gas in New Orleans with the little gas cans. My goodness. At least they could find some gas cans. That's pretty good. Looks like some people have a few. Look at that. That's Wagaman, Louisiana. Power lines just toppled over. Whoa. Ooh. Yeah, we've had this here. A couple trees falling on people's homes. But this one, look at the roots on that tree. My goodness, look at how massive the root system is. And it just pulled the whole thing up. Speaking of which, folks, if you are still trying to clean up post Grace and you still have that tree in your house, please give Reliable Industries a call. They're the experts with this sort of thing, tree removal, debris removal. They have the chipper, the electronic gear, the technology to do it quickly. A lot of people are pound foolish and what do we say? you're pound foolish and penny wise. So they're trying to save their pennies, but in fact they're not, because they find someone who says, "Oh, I can do that for you at $75 an hour," and you think, "Oh, great," and then it's like 10 hours later, they're still with the machete trying to hack away at one little branch. That's not what you want here, folks. Get the professionals in there. They have the crew that can do it, the multi-person crew, and the equipment to make it as fast and safe as possible. But yes, this is astonishing how it just ripped up that entire tree. But we've seen some of that, right here in Cayman. And that, listen, that wasn't a Category 4 storm. Here we have volunteers of the Committee for Better New Orleans serving food in a neighborhood there in New Orleans so that people can eat. It's awesome to see people come together. This is a grocery store in New Orleans as well. Granny needs to put on her mask, especially this one in the green shirt. She's standing up there like she doesn't have a concern in the world. Mask up, Granny. Look at this flooding. Wow. This is La Fourche, Paris. I don't even know where. I don't know a whole lot about Louisiana, believe it or not, but they've got substantial flooding. Here's a little video. So they said that levee system worked.
Delivered catastrophic wind, surge, and rain across southeast Louisiana. Almost the entire southeastern part of our state is without power presently. And sometimes you hear, million people without power. It's about 1.1 million homes and businesses. It's well over a million people. I don't have a precise number for you. If there is a silver lining, and today it's kind of hard to see one, it is that our levee systems really did perform extremely well. We don't believe there was a single levee anywhere now that actually breached, that failed. There were a few smaller levees that were overtopped to some degree and for some duration of time, and that did result in some people's homes being flooded. But they did not fail. They overtopped in a few areas.
Wow. Well, a bit of good news there. The levees held up this time. It's crazy. So someone has mentioned this MU variant. So, I saw something yesterday in the news about this, folks, and one of the reasons why we wait a little bit sometimes with this news situation is we need to actually get more details. So there's just not enough information. Like literally there was like one story about this yesterday, 5 hours ago. There's not a whole lot that they know. We've had other variants other than Delta variant, by the way. Obviously, we're all the way down to M. So you go through the alphabet and you can figure out how many variants that we've had. Not every single variant is one that's going to, be making records. But here's what the World Health Organization has to say. This is going to become the norm. You're going to be seeing variants. So you probably shouldn't panic any more than you're panicking about the Delta variant, to be honest. So yes, the World Health Organization has named a new variant of interest, is what they're calling it. It's called, I guess they're pronouncing it the Mu variant, and it was first found in Colombia in January. So it's not all that new, January of 2021, here we are in September. And there's a reason why you want to wait, because you want to see what's going to happen. So Lambda and some of the other variants have not spread at the rate at which the Delta variant has. So that's why the Delta variant remains a dominant variant, although, there've been other variants that have come after it. So we wait until we have more meaningful information to provide. But so far, the Mu variant has been detected in 39 countries. It has changes. Obviously, it's mutated. And it says that means that it might be able to evade some of the protection that we get from COVID vaccines. So this is where everybody's like, oh my God, the vaccine isn't going to work. Calm down. Let me read what it says. It has some mutations which means it might be able to evade some of the protection. And what we've said on this program time and time again is that some protection is better than zero protection. And here's what they're saying, that one assuring element is that despite being around since January of 2021, it doesn't seem to be outcompeting Delta. That's the point here, folks. So Delta still remains a dominant variant across most of the world. And they go on to say, if Mu was truly a really bad variant, we would have expected it to have started to see, indications after this. And the experts are saying that they really haven't. So that's 8 months. So calm down. It's not new, like it just came out yesterday. It's actually been around since January. And again, please keep in mind, the 4 variants of concern are the Alpha, the Beta, the Gamma, and the Delta. And we have 4 other variants of interest, and that's what this particular one, the Eta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, and now the Mu variant. Mu? Okay. So it has mutations that might confer some of these properties, it says, but evidence is still emerging. So we wait on the evidence. First identified in Colombia. And so there is a possibility that the vaccines may not be as useful against it. But here's what it said, that most COVID vaccines target the spike protein of the virus, which it uses to enter cells. And our vaccines expose our bodies to part of the virus, commonly the spike protein, so our immune system can learn to fight the virus off if it enters. If a variant has significant changes in the spike protein, this may decrease the effectiveness of our vaccines. The World Health Organization has said that preliminary evidence suggests that the Mu variant could partially evade the antibodies that we get from vaccination. But because this data is from lab studies, we can't be sure how the variant will actually play out in the population. So we just have to wait and see. All right, Tracy, Larry took a day off because of flooding. Can we get an update on the police officer charged on drug allegations and the guy from immigration for misconduct? The police officer, the prison officer? No update. The police have not said a word, not a single word. We send them queries and they don't say anything then either. So normally that means that their investigations are ongoing and they don't have much to say, but I will forward this to the PR person over at the RCIPS, Tracy, and see if we can get another update. So some areas, Larry says, got 9 inches of rain in New York. Lord have mercy. Ms. Sue, good morning. Yeah, a lot of their homes are what we would consider subpar in terms of the material. But I guess for them, it's not that bad because they don't tend to get a lot of tropical storms. But when you do, I'm always surprised at how quickly, you watch these HGTV homes and whatever, and they do these renovations and they put in bathrooms and they move stuff around. They do it so cheaply. First of all, the cost of construction in the US tends to be quite a bit less, depending on where you're at, though, to be honest. And on top of that, they also do put them up very, very quickly. And I got to tell you the truth, I am shocked at how quickly they can build a house in the States. A lot of times I look at their construction, I'm like, that house went up in like 12 weeks. How did that happen? Then when you see how quickly it comes down, you kind of get some insight there. Wanda, thank you. Sharing that she has some serious damage from flooding in Philadelphia and surrounding counties and tornadoes in New Jersey. Wow. Mullica Hill was hit by a tornado. My goodness. Sue has the Ivan book of photos, says that's reminding her a little bit of that. So Lily of the Valley says, too much wickedness in this place called Earth. You all forgot the flood. Go read your Bible. Well, if that's the case, then the earth has always been wicked from the onset, from Adam and Eve, because we've always had floods and we've always had hurricanes and tornadoes. And, you know, you need to look into what you need to read about is how global warming and the things that we're doing to the earth is impacting things like floods. And we're going to have more and more of them as a result. So, buenos dias, Senora Alba, or is it Senorita? Thank you so much for joining the show. So I came across a very, very interesting YouTube video last night that it broke my heart. And it is, I don't know the length of it, but it's worth a good watch. So I'm going to premiere it tonight at 8:30. In case you guys haven't noticed, we've been doing a series of videos all about vaccinations, specific really to the COVID vaccination. But this particular one is not specific to COVID. It's a little bit broader about people refusing other types of vaccines, which had started before the COVID outbreak, which is very, very interesting. So we'll play that at 8:30 tonight. Folks, tune in for that. It is very interesting, the people that are out there, I need my back scratcher, who are out there purporting to be experts and that other people are quoting and relying upon for their decision making. It's just quite shocking, to be quite honest. But look at what what is his title? Is he Prime Minister of Canada? Is that his title? No, I feel like it's not Prime Minister. It's the Premier. What is his title? But anyway, here's Canadian head of state and what he had to say recently.
Canadians know that the way to get through this pandemic is for everyone to get vaccinated. So unless people have a medical exception, they will not be able to board a plane or a train in Canada if they are unvaccinated. That is about protecting our young people. It's about protecting Canadians. We are absolutely unequivocal on that because this is how we get through this pandemic.
All right, so there is Mr. Trudeau, who has said that's the position, Mr. Justin Trudeau of Canada. That is their position, folks. To even get on a plane or a train, you've got to show proof of vaccination. So one interesting thing, though, I think what this is going to mean is that a lot of the unvaccinated aren't going to be able to go anywhere, which is probably a good thing, because then that will keep them in a bit of a virtual bubble where they're maybe less likely to interact with people who are high risk. Premier, thank you. Somebody in WhatsApp just said that to me. So Premier, Justin Trudeau. So there you have it, folks. No plane, no train, no travel for y'all. Airlines. I suspect that very, very soon businesses, everything from restaurants, whatever, will start telling you if you're not vaccinated that you can't come into their establishment either. So we'll see how that plays out. So Emma says this is going to be a B of a hurricane season. Maybe God doing his part to control travel. That is more likely to cause more deaths in the storm because of COVID spread. Don't be blaming everything on God, y'all. I don't know why. Prime Minister of Canada. Thank you, Judy. He's not the Premier. He's Prime Minister. I didn't think that they used the word Premier in Canada. Prime Minister, yes. Thank you, Judy. Judy's Canadian, so I would expect her to definitely know. So listen, don't be blaming God and everything. God gave y'all common sense and medicine, modern medicine, for a reason, and you must utilize these resources. So someone else just messaged me and said, Sandy, did you get a steroid injection in that area where you have the white spot? Because I did one in my wrist and it turned white, and the doctor told me that it was a steroid that caused it. And I think that's exactly what it is as well. I suspected it. And, I didn't even see it. My daughter was the one who pointed out to me. She's like, Mommy, what's that? And then I started obsessing about it because, you get a little bit of OCD moment. And I was like, what the heck? Like you see, it's like, it is a little white spot right there. And I'm like, how did that? But, my arm would have been straight, obviously, because they didn't want to go into the bone with the needle. So it would have been straight when I got the injection. And, since then, I've gone to Humana Orthopedic and I've spoken to the shoulder expert, the knee expert. The shoulder expert supposedly works in the royal family. So they're like, you should feel safe with him. He knows a lot. And I thought, okay. So he said that the treatments now for tennis elbow, which is what was going on here, is actually not to give you an injection anymore. I can still feel it. It's kind of, the soreness is kind of still coming back in there. It's still very much in there when I rub it, right? So he said the treatment for tennis elbow is actually not to give you an injection anymore of steroid. It's something else he was telling me about. And I was like, what? So modern medicine, my apologies, is always emerging. They're learning new things. So for years, because I got a steroid injection at the HSA, and the orthopedic surgeon visiting from overseas said, that's no longer the recommended treatment, because sometimes a steroid injection can actually make a situation worse. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah. He said in the shoulder, yes. And in fact, what they're now recommending with the shoulder, we're not going to jump to surgery, thank God, but a second injection in the shoulder, but that is guided with an ultrasound so they can see exactly where they're putting the medicine, because there's a very specific area where they want to put it. So it seems like I have what they call frozen shoulder, basically old age, child. Not old, but older age kind of catching up with me a little bit. And so he said it's actually a very common situation with the shoulder, but it is also very, very painful. And trust me, every night it is painful. And I feel like in the morning, until you kind of loosen up, is when I feel it the most. A lot of times you'll notice me in the show, probably, doing like really weird things with my shoulder. One home remedy that I've definitely noticed that helps is heat. So I've whipped out the heating pad and I have been putting heat on it. And I notice I do get significant relief from the heat. So I'm going to be going to physio, not for physiotherapy, because he warned me against doing any kind of like real physio on it, but for them to help with some therapeutic stuff. So like acupuncture for the pain, maybe getting them to put their industrial heat. They have like what do they call them? Like their version of a heating pad, putting their heat element on it. And maybe a little bit of massage and stuff to kind of get the pain to go away. Because he said the most important thing is to reduce the inflammation, reduce the pain. And then after that has settled down, then we can look at doing some real physio. Because the thing you want to avoid, and this is why we listen to doctors, folks. I'm not a shoulder expert. I'm not a knee expert. I'm not a physician. And that's why we go to the doctor. And when the doctors say X, sometimes you get a second opinion. So now I find out with the shoulder that I probably shouldn't have gotten steroid injection in the elbow, but the shoulder was a good idea. And this is why it's important that physicians keep up themselves with emerging information and data and so on, right? So you got to, work with physicians who believe in continuing to upgrade themselves and so on. But, he was saying that the reason why you don't want to do anything aggressive with the shoulder like physio right now is because you will end up creating scar tissue. And he said that will be the worst thing that you can do right now. So just rest it. Consider a second injection, that will be a guided injection. And, take it from there. Yes, Miss Sue, it's amazing what heat and cold can do to pain. So sometimes for certain things, they recommend like an ice pack and so forth. Like my foot, they're always saying use an ice pack because that helps with the inflammation, right? You guys know I had an ankle issue, and I've got a lot of foot pain because I am a heavy walker. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but number one, I'm a good 50 pounds overweight, believe it or not. People never believe me when I say that. And I'm like, yeah, I could do with losing at least 50 to 75 pounds. Legit. I remember what my weight was in high school, and that was probably my ideal weight. I'm not really a small bone person, but I'm also not, knowing where I was, I'm also not like a, like if I took the weight off, you'd be surprised, like, oh, there's a skinny version of Sandy in there. There really is somewhere. But yes, I tell you what, heat does wonders for me. Cold, sometimes I find that it helps, but for me, I find that heat does so much more. So even when they say, oh, put on a cold pad or a cold whatever, And I'm just like, I prefer the heat. Like, I feel like I get more relief from the heat, but I do know that in certain areas, they say that the cold helps to reduce the inflammation and to bring it down. Have you ever used one of those cold compacts, and forgot it? I did that on my chest once, and I got this is so crazy, but I got like what's it called? Like freezer burn, like the ice burn or whatever on my chest. Like, I think it finally went away, but it was like all like frostbitten, right? Because I was having something that they call costochondritis, which you kind of feel like you're having a heart attack a little bit, but it's actually inflammation in the chest wall, like around the ribs and whatever. So you can get it in this muscle that runs along the chest wall. And so the first time I had it, I was like, oh my God, this doesn't feel good. You go to the doctor and they check everything. They say it's not your heart. It's actually is it the muscle? But whatever that's in there, I'll tell you what it is. Let me give you a proper analysis, because right now I feel like I'm talking pure foolishness. It's called costochondritis. So it's a medical term for inflammation of the cartilage that joins your ribs in the breastbone, which is the sternum. This area is known as the costochondral joint, and cartilage is tough but flexible connective tissue found throughout the body, including the joints in between bones. So the weird thing about it is it's in such an unusual position that let me just show you exactly where it is, right? Your initial inclination is that, OMG, this is my heart. Because look at where it's at. It's like right in there. So I tend to get it, I think, higher up, like that first little rib or second little rib there. So again, because it's right there, my initial thought is, OMG, is this heart related? And so I've been reassured based on the symptoms and everything else, it's not. So pain relievers help. Obviously, I try not to take too much in the way of pain relievers, but also what I found, believe it or not, is just a gentle massage. This sounds really weird, but when my therapist did it, I got relief from that. And some of the doctors like, oh, I don't know, I wouldn't really massage it. I just leave it alone and whatever. But I found that just a gentle, like rubbing of the chest wall really, really helped me significantly. And, they were also recommending a little bit of put an ice pack on it to help. And you know what is so incredibly interesting? The ice pack, yes, I was using it one day and I fell asleep on the sofa with the ice pack on me. And then I woke up with like burns all over, like freeze burns, frostbite, whatever the heck the medical term is for it, all in my chest. I was like, oh my God, what happened? It was discolored. Like I said, eventually it went away, but it was like discolored and everything. It was super weird. But yes, back to Miss Sue's point, I do find that a heat pad or heat, even just hot showering and stuff like that, really does a lot for me. So apparently you can get this acute costochondritis after straining, coughing, weightlifting. I can assure you I wasn't weightlifting, but what I came to realize might have been happening to me, and this again, we're doing stuff to our bodies and sometimes we're just not recognizing even what we're doing. After I had the baby, she'd be in her car seat. And so she had one of those, like her first car seat was one where I took out the entire like part that she was in. I would take that out with the baby. So I didn't just have to take the baby out. I could take that out with her. And in some respects, it was easier, but I was constantly using the same side of the car and constantly doing it the same way. So you have to be cognizant of, yes, I'm right-handed. That's my dominant hand. That's my dominant side. But your left side, and I think this is why I'm having so many issues on the left, becomes substantially weaker if you're not doing anything with it. Like you got to balance and make sure that Oh, that's Miss Maria's suggesting Tiger Balm. Yes, therapeutic exercises. So yeah, you've got to recognize that this side, whatever your non-dominant side is, tends to be weaker. So listen, I'm following the doctor's advice and I'm not doing any exercises right now until we actually get the pain under control. But that's what kind of kicked off my costochondritis, is taking the baby in and out of the car on the same side all the time, not even being conscious of the fact that if I do that 5 times a day, I drop her off at daycare, I pick her up at daycare, we go out somewhere, like, back and forth, in and out, and I'm using that same side, I'm overusing it. So I need to start trying to use the other side a little bit more, because that other side invariably becomes weaker. And Shannon says that she's had this chondritis thing or whatever it's called, and it's very painful. It is. And you don't appreciate probably how much your chest wall does, or how much not being in pain with your chest wall is such a good thing until you actually have pain. Pain is amazing, isn't it? Like, we jump up every morning, you jump out of bed, you feel good, you're just going and hustling, whatever. And then something goes awry, like the shoulder, the knee, the elbow. And you're like, who knew that tennis elbow could be so painful? Who knew that shoulder pain could be so painful? Knee pain. You know how much you use your knees every time you get up and down, and then even when you're sitting? Trust me, it's no joke. But yes, I have, Maria, been using heat. So Cece wants to manipulate my arm again. I will give Cece some credit, because when she did it the last time, I had a couple months of relief, but based on what the doctor's saying, I didn't want to do anything like that again to the arm, because that would be creating the scar tissue that will then be long-term the worst situation. Anyway, folks, listen, we do what we can. We're all getting older. As you start to push that 50 that we're coming up on, it's going to be things will start to happen. Let's just put it that way. And we have to do everything in our power to counter it. So yes, I should be exercising. The gym awaits me, like my home gym, like literally 20 steps away awaits me. I should be eating healthier. I should be doing all sorts of things that would encourage non-inflammation in the body. Cece says the doctors just want money. Well, they do get paid money, but they also come with a degree of expertise, Cece. So as much as I want to believe that you are an expert, you're not an expert on this, not at all. But I do appreciate that your maneuver helped, although I swore that at first I'd broken my shoulder, thanks to Cece, but it did appear to help somewhat. But yeah, super interesting. We all rely on experts, folks. They go to school for a million years to be able to give us some insights. Not that they always get it wrong. Of course, sometimes, things are misdiagnosed or whatever. So yes, thank you so much, Maria. And then the cold, I think, helps to decrease the inflammation. And there's a lot of things that you can do. So for example, I said to the doctor, I have had really good luck with shockwave therapy for my ankle. And that the podiatrist said that has actually proven to be extremely effective for what I was suffering from, which was this chronic ankle situation. And it really is the only thing that has given me relief after suffering for years. I should get back and start doing it again. But right now I'm feeling like I'm pain-free. I'm just going to stretch it and whatever, right? So when I was talking to the shoulder doctor, I said, listen, I've done, shockwave therapy before on other areas. Is this something that could help my shoulder? And he said, no. He said, you don't want to do shockwave therapy on a shoulder. And then he told me medically why. And these are the reasons why, we rely on experts. So whether it's COVID advice or other things, I'm more inclined to take advice from someone who's actually even studied medicine. When you watch the piece that we're going to air tonight at 8:30, There's a lady in that who's calling herself a doctor, Dr. So-and-so, and the woman has no medical training. She's no PhD. Like, she's not even a doctor. These people just throw whatever onto their name, claims that, oh, she's done enough research, so therefore she knows more than doctors. And it's like, what kind of research and who has tested your knowledge? You know, don't be anti-science, folks. One of the reasons why the human race has lived as long as we have and have made it this far is because we have embraced technology, whether it was using the original rock and putting it with a little splinter to make a hammer. We understand tools, technology, and so on, computer science, medical science, all these things which have made our lives substantially better. And to think that there is this overall kickback against it really is disturbing to me, because as everybody says, when you do finally catch COVID and you get sick, you're behind not staying home and treating yourself. You're going to jump up and go to the doctor's office, right? In the hospital and take up hospital beds. There's another very interesting article out of some Fox News, Tampa or something, but it was this this pastor and his wife, and she kept saying to her husband, you know, go get vaccinated, blah blah blah, and of course he wouldn't do it, and now he's been on a ventilator since I think August the 16th or something like that, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it. Unfortunately, he's probably going to die. And she said, you know, I kept trying to tell my husband his logic, which was, what did he say? That he, she says he bought into all the conspiracy theories that were saying somehow vaccinations are a way to infiltrate bad things into your bloodstream, control and freedom. And my daughter and I used to tease him all the time saying, you know, there's no freedom if you're dead. And now he's going that direction, unfortunately. Let me play this for you because I think this is very, very interesting. Let me see if I can pull it out here. So another person who was anti everything in terms of vaccination, now unfortunately on death's door. Have a look at this.
My husband is very sick right now. I have a 13-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter. I just dropped my daughter to college last Friday without her daddy. My son's 13 years old. And this morning we were praying, and he's been really, really strong about accepting whatever God's will is. And this morning he said, Lord, I accept your will, I accept your decision, but man, I'm 13, I don't want to grow up without a dad. That broke me, guys. If you are one of those individuals that absolutely is against vaccination, and you think that COVID is a hoax, that it's not real, and if you are very sad, I'm never, doesn't matter what I share with you, I am never going to change your mind. My husband refused to vaccinate. We begged him. We asked him, my daughter asked him, I asked him, my son asked him, even when he made the appointment for his vaccination, which was right before we got sick, he asked him. My husband said, no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. They put him on a cannula respirator. That was not enough. Then they put him on a BiPAP, which is a little bit more intrusive. That did not work. And then he collapsed again while trying to go to the bathroom. And they had no other option but to intubate him and induce him into a coma. They have used all the medications available. He's under the care of excellent physicians. I am thanking them every day because for me, they are heroes without capes. The bottom line is the doctors believe that they've done as much as they can do for my husband. But if you have not getting your vaccinations, I got my vaccination, I'm okay. My 18-year-old daughter got the vaccination, she's okay. Our 13-year-old son already got half of the immunization, he's about to get the second one, he's okay. We all got COVID with the exception of my daughter. For my son and I, it was just like a regular cold. My husband is fighting for his life. If this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. Please get vaccinated.
Wow. It is very, very difficult to watch, more and more of these people begging based on their own experiences to please get vaccinated. I mean, you see that image of her husband there, just connected to, I don't even know what all those things are, right? After 20 something years of marriage, they have 2 children, an 18-year-old daughter who's now gone off to university. He didn't get to experience that. I sadly say that I think he's not going to make it. We will certainly keep an eye on his situation. But, in addition to him missing all of these life events, he's not going to be there when she gets married or when she has kids, or, his 13-year-old is still so young, and he's saying that I don't want to grow up without my dad. And it really is hard to see. And I see people, even in this community, folks, who are refusing to listen to good medical science. And I have to tell you, I find it so disturbing because I know that, in the US, over 500,000 people have died as a result of COVID. But in Cayman, you even have 5 people dying because of COVID. It is going to be a significant toll on this community because we are so connected to everybody. Everybody knows everybody, and, oh, that was my friend, or it's like, normally you have 6 degrees of separation, and in this country, it's like 2 or 3 degrees of separation in terms of how we're connected just because of our size. And so the devastation that will be caused in this country by deaths and by a COVID outbreak is going to be nothing short of devastating for all of us. People will lose their lives. And I keep hearing people say, well, just never open up again. How will that ever be a possibility? We're going to have to, unfortunately, learn to live with COVID as best we can. And our only glimmer of hope, it's not perfection, it's a glimmer of hope, is this vaccine. And if it simply means that you will not end up in a medically induced coma or dead, then to me, that's something. And that's a lot, actually. So I'm very, very disturbed when I hear people saying, oh, well, you're still going to catch it. And I said, yeah, you might still catch it, but, the chances of you catching it are reduced, even if it's just 50%. But more importantly, the chances of you dying from this are reduced. It's just, yes, Al, because there are so many cases out there. We have not had to repeat a single case of, we're showing the same video again, because it's countless cases over and over again. If you have not seen enough headlines of, oh, this anti-vaxxer finally catches COVID, this anti-vaxxer, finally being killed or dying from COVID and whatever, it's like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's 500,000 people have actually been killed, folks. And that's a lot in one country alone. I watch one of my Facebook friends, and I hope Terry doesn't mind me saying this, Terry Marin, right? Let me just, she has lost a number of friends. She's originally from the States. And Terry has lost a number of friends to COVID already, a number of friends, which is just shocking. On August the 31st, she posted again, so many of my friends have COVID at the moment, and I'm holding them all close to my heart, especially the mother of two of my friends, Christy and Kim, praying and believing that she will pull through. And there have been numerous posts from Terry about her friends who have actually died because of COVID. So this isn't a joke. This isn't something that we can be so removed from that we don't understand that this is impacting people. Every single time you lose someone that was a friend, a family member, friend of a friend or whatever, that has an impact on the lives of the people that you love and even you. I mean, it's just, I think that we've had the luxury of pretending that COVID doesn't exist because it hasn't hit home yet. But it doesn't mean that that's the case for everyone. Terry still has a lot of connections with people in the US, her friends and family members. And as a result of that, she has experienced, she has experienced what COVID is doing to her American family and her American friends. August the 12th, she put up a post that says, rest in peace, beautiful Martha. August the 12th, another one, rest in peace, Tim. These are people. August the 9th, she says, COVID has caused the death of another of my high school friends, and it just breaks my heart. She was such a beautiful soul. I mean, Terry is only one person, and she personally has lost a number of friends. It's nothing to joke about. And when I see some of the flippant remarks and comments and stuff that people in Cayman are just posting up, like, I really am dumbfounded by it. And I can't wrap my head around it. And so, yes, Al, there's a lot of sad stories. Imagine if we had to report on every COVID death in America. Let me see what number we're up to. All 642,000 of those, right? Every single person that has gotten COVID and that has died. Imagine if we had to report on all those deaths. Every single person has a family member. They're connected to someone. That is devastating. 642,000 people. And by the way, that's an underestimate, depending on which statistical information you believe, by anywhere from 1 to 10 times, right? So it's more than that. That's a conservative number. People have lost, an entire family has been wiped out. Entire families have been wiped out. 3, 4, 5, mother, father, son, like everybody in the family, and multiple generations just wiped out by COVID. And so if you guys don't understand where my passion comes from, imagine having somebody in Cayman, a family in Cayman, where the entire family is wiped out. The parents, the children, like, you know how devastating that would be for our community? And so that's why I stand where I stand and tell you guys, there's no 100% guarantees. There's no 100% protection, but you have something. Shield yourself with what is available. Stop buying into all of this foolishness about, oh, this person claims that they're a doctor and they don't even have a medical degree, but yet they're going to tell you how it is. None of you have spoken to anyone who actually has had COVID. I bet you not a single one of you have had. That's not a luxury. That is a disastrous situation. I know people who've had mild cases of it, and we're going to be doing an interview here soon with a Caymanian who has had COVID. We need to understand that we don't have to experience it to not be able to sympathize with other people who have gone through it. And so I'm passionate about it. These stories every single time bring me to tears. Like, I am literally torn up about it because I feel that woman's pain. I can't just sit in the Cayman Islands and pretend that people are not dying all over the world from this. Children. Now it's attacking people younger, and children and pregnant women are at particular risk right now. And it's because people around them will not get vaccinated. And this whole thing that Well, it's my personal choice and I don't care about anybody else. It's great that you have the luxury of being so incredibly selfish. And one of the things of that video tonight that I'm going to show is how whooping cough has come back with a vengeance in Australia because of this anti-vaccination movement and because people are refusing to get vaccinated. Whooping cough is killing and disfiguring babies, right? And it comes back to this exact same idea of mistrust of medicine, mistrust of vaccines, and believing in people and their crack science where you have no reason to believe in them. This woman who's calling herself a doctor actually got up and left the interview because it was put to her, because of the misinformation that you're putting out there, you are causing people to not vaccinate their children, and that is killing babies. Do you not feel a way about that? She couldn't even answer the question. She stood up and she's like, "Oh, I'm insulted. Have those parents call me so we can really see if that's what the child died from." What the actual F? You are not even a medical doctor, woman. Oh, these parents who just lost a child must call you and your crackpot self so you can tell them that, oh, your child didn't actually die of whooping cough. Oh, I need to review medical records. I'm not a doctor, but I need to review the medical records of your child and traumatize you even more by telling you that your child didn't die of whooping cough. It's like, what? And these are the people, and this is the information that we want to propagate and put out there in the public domain, and you want to believe, and you guys are spreading. I mean, I feel for our people, the human race is getting dumber by the minute. Imagine I had to put up a post late last night because this has been circulating, right? This headline, I'm sure you guys have seen it, and this is it just really makes me sick. Bill Gates calls for withdrawal of all COVID-19 vaccines. The first person that sent this to me sent it to me on Sunday, and I immediately knew that it was fake news. But let me tell you, these people will believe any and everything, right? So I said, the person who sent it to me, I said, is this not obviously fake to you? I looked at the website and I was like, this is a fake news website, maryvpost.com. I was like, really, woman? You're sending me this foolishness? But this is what we do. This is what's going to be sent around. This is what we're going to believe. We're not going to believe medical science, but we're going to believe this crackpot article. And here's the irony of this belief. Let me just pull this out for a second. Let me show you something. This is where logic just doesn't entertain certain people. It just doesn't enter. We need to have up a warning sign with certain people walk around in this community. Logic does not enter their brain, right? Now, they send me this. Look at this. Shocking. Bill Gates calls for the withdrawal of all COVID-19 vaccines. All right. These are the same people. And I'm telling you, because this person has sent me so much foolishness that I know for a fact, these are the same people, folks, who have been sending me all of these conspiracy theories about Bill Gates. So I'm just like, okay, the man you claim wants to microchip you. The man you claim wants to kill everybody in Africa. I don't know what he's going to gain from that, but he wants to kill everybody in Africa. He wants to kill all Black people, right? You believed those things about Bill Gates. You've had these theories in your head. You now believe, let me just understand this, that he is calling for the withdrawal of all COVID-19 vaccines. And this is what you're circulating? Like, are you for real? Oh, all of a sudden, a man who wanted to microchip you and who was paying for vaccines, according to people, to get in your system, now is saying that, quote, they are far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Wow. Are you for real? You can believe two completely opposing viewpoints about Bill Gates because they both fit this crazy ass narrative of yours. They don't fit logic. You understand? This doesn't make any sense. Even if you are a conspiracy theorist, on the one hand, you believed that he wanted to microchip you, would you actually believe now that he's had a change of heart because the vaccine is dangerous? Why would Bill Gates care if it was dangerous, if his objective is just to get you microchipped? When I tell you it makes no sense. So here's the facts. It's a complete fabrication. Okay? This other publication, this wasn't the one that originally started it, but this other publication, the Daily Expose, has actually admitted that this story is fake. So they've admitted. They said it's a piece of satire. But they put that all the way at the bottom of the article, of the fake article, and y'all know you're not reading past the headline. And now you're spreading this around like this is real information. This is not satire. This isn't funny. This is what confuses people who are easily confused. Wow. Then they say that the rest is factual. No, it's not. Completely fictional. There was no such proof, no such speech. The Gates Foundation has not established any funds to compensate any vaccine victim or to make available effective, inexpensive COVID-19 remedies. All of that is a lie. The entire article is a fabrication. It's just shocking. But this is what's trending right now, believe it or not. This is what people are sending me on WhatsApp and what they're posting on Facebook for us to believe. Because the man you should never trust before, because he wanted to microchip you and he wanted to kill Black people, you must now trust because he says, listen to how stupid this is. Now you can trust him because he's saying that all vaccines are bad. But I didn't trust him before if I'm an anti-vaxxer. So now why would I trust him? It makes no logical sense. I'm so, my brain, when I tell you that my brain literally, if there's such a thing as a brain hurt, not a headache, but your brain just hurts from the stupidness that you have to engage in every single day with people who want to believe this stuff. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So now we must believe Bill Gates as though he carries some degree of credibility amongst anti-vaxxers. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. Anyway, folks. I don't know what to say. So let's talk about some other stuff locally. Thank you, Elaine. She says local civil or criminal QC needed that will actually do pro bono occasionally, work in the Cayman Islands. Recover will do it for personal injury cases. It's not really considered pro bono though, but it is the law now that they can charge you, because before the law didn't even allow them to enter into pro bono arrangement with you. Can you believe that? But the law has been changed that will allow them to recover their fees when you recover. So if it's that type of injury, my dear, which falls under the civil category, you can certainly reach out to the folks over at Recover and they will assist you. Criminal lawyers, you do have the option of seeking financial, what's it called, legal aid. But of course, that is subject to approval. And I don't really know. They say they use a financial criteria. All I can say is, you try your luck. There's certain types of criminal cases that you have the right to apply I don't think they necessarily have to approve it, but at least you apply. Now they have Darlene Oku over there, who's a former, what is she? Criminal prosecutor working in the legal aid office. Anyway, big shout out to your friends over at Miracle Brokers, folks. If you are in the Filipino community, this is your last chance to get your Filipino boxes arranged. All right, folks. So please reach out to the team, Romy, over at Miracle Brokers. You can actually WhatsApp them as well. They have a nice WhatsApp number. We can send them your queries and your messages. And, this is a deadline, September. Because believe it or not, we're in the last quarter now of the year. It's all downhill before Christmas, folks. So ensure that you get yourselves organized for Christmas. And speaking of Christmas, I mean, I know it's hard to believe that Christmas is right around the corner, but it is. I know. My brain is already like, what? Christmas? Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. Start thinking about your Christmas trees. Check them out. Wonderland Christmas trees, folks. They donate. This is some of the stuff that they did last year. Donating funds to Feed Our Future and Meals on Wheels, christmastrees.ky. Check them out, folks. You can order your Christmas trees, pre-order your tree early if you wish to have a live tree. Now, I got to tell you, there's something special about having a live Christmas tree. And I'm one of those people who love me a live Christmas tree. They can be a little bit messy. And if you have a dog, make sure the dog doesn't eat the little things that come off the tree. But they just add a certain aura to your festivities. I love a live Christmas tree. And, a lot of times it's hard getting one here. So order your Christmas trees early. Contact our friends over there at Wonderland Christmas Trees. Pre-order them. They're going to have all sorts of, they'll have it set up where you can go and select the tree that you want. You can tell them what size you want, all that fantabulous stuff. So it's not too early to start thinking about Christmas. And trust me, we have been using Santa around here for a couple of years to keep a certain little one in check. And just yesterday, I was like, girl, don't let me have to call Santa. She's like, no, don't call Santa. I got him a speed dial just in case you all need to know. But yes, so start to make your preparations for the holidays. It's literally right around the corner. I mean, September already. October, November, December, that's it. Christmas is going to be here. Wow. Went by quickly. Some of you have had some questions about Alden McLaughlin getting this designation as QC. We've sent a few questions. Before I address this, I want to have a bit more information. But I'm just letting you know there's a reason why I haven't touched the subject, right? And the reason why, quite frankly, is because I need some more information because I'm a little bit confused. About what's happening. And so without the information, I can't say much because I don't want to criticize him just for the sake of criticizing him, or not even him, because it isn't about him. It's whoever made this decision to designate him as a QC. So permit me to get some more information. I might have the answers today. I have sent them off as of yesterday. So I'm waiting on the Chief Justice and the Judiciary to get back to me. Once the questions or the answers have been received, then we can have a much fuller discussion on this last batch of QCs that have been designated, including the former Premier of the Cayman Islands, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, who's a non-practicing attorney. It does seem very, very peculiar and weird, but let's get the facts beforehand. I was speaking to someone last night. Big shout out to Craig Marin. And he said, Sandy, I don't always get to listen to your show, but the times that I do listen, I must say that you have really gained the respect of a lot of people in the community, because you don't just, like some other people who remain unnamed, just shoot off of the mouth for the sake of shooting off of the mouth. You try to do your research, you come with your facts, and you present even if it's just your opinion, you present it in such a way that really gains you a lot of respect. And I said, wow. I said, thank you. Coming from Craig, that's a high compliment, because Craig, I feel like he doesn't really compliment people a lot, but he always tells the truth, which is the most important thing, right? So I thought to myself, coming from him, I really appreciate that. And so sometimes it's not always about just being sensational just for the sake of being sensational and to get views. It's about bringing the hard, cold truth to the table, which means get your facts in order, right? And even if you have facts and then you want to say, well, this is why I still don't agree with it, that's a whole different situation. But let's get the facts in order first. Now, I did make an observation yesterday, and you guys know already how I feel about this, because we all have jobs, right? We have to show up, even when you are self-employed, when you work for yourself, you have an obligation to do things for your clients, and you have to show up for your clients and so forth. So yesterday, when I was watching the Legislative Assembly proceedings, I did notice that once again, the premier was missing. He showed up right before the lunch break. And then he made his presence known, quite ironically enough, by taking a jab at poor Minister of Tourism, Kenneth Bryan. And so I thought that was so interesting. It's like he needed to let people know all of a sudden that, oh, Alden is in the house. But with all due respect, the representative for, where is he, Red Bay? We notice your lack of attendance a lot these days. And here he is, missing yet again. As they say, you have one job: show up on time. What else are you doing? Hanging out on the farm in East End? That's not what the people of the Cayman Islands are paying you for. We're not business with that. You're being paid to represent the people of this country and to give them a voice. And what that means is, sir, you first need to show up. So the posturing and the grandstanding after he showed up was most interesting, but it only made us pay attention even more to the fact that you either don't show up or you show up right before lunch and you're always late. Show up on time, have a little respect for the people. They know when the Public Accounts Committee is meeting, folks. It's not like you get an invitation just the day before. They have the agenda set. They know what's on the agenda. And, you clear your calendar accordingly. And you show up accordingly. That's how I see it. Most of you'd be fired if you didn't show up for your job or if you showed up late. Even me, I have a client meeting. If I'm running late, I message the client, I'm running a little bit late. No problem. So, folks, do better. You're representing the people. We're paying you a handsome salary. Although you're not a minister, you're still getting a very good salary. And the very least that you can do is just to show up. Pretend like you care. Right? That's all I want to say about that. And we will continue to watch. Yes, big bucks for what? That's a good question. We will continue, folks, to watch his attendance. All right, folks. So we have lost a member of the Filipino community, the Caymanian community. My apologies. I was just typing something there. We have lost a member of the community who was a former political candidate, an architect, a businessman, very, very much involved in the community. If you have not heard the sad news, it's already, we heard it yesterday, and it's already been on social media for a minute now, people giving their condolences. We actually haven't put anything up on the website as yet, because we were actually reaching out to the family to see, sort of if they wanted to give any sort of a comment or anything like that. But unfortunately, Burns Connolly has passed away. He was the owner and managing director of the Burns Connolly Group. He was formerly a managing director at OBM. He was an architect that was well respected for a lot of the projects that he worked on here in the Cayman Islands. And it's very, very sad to announce that he has indeed passed away. I think people who knew him, always said that he was a very jovial person. He was a very kind person. And so we just wanted to extend our condolences to his family. Even at this stage, we know that this is a very difficult time for his entire family, without a doubt, and his wife and children. So we will, I suppose, have more information a little bit later on about the body of work that he leaves behind and the many, many things that he accomplished. Because oftentimes when we appreciate someone is when they're no longer here. And then we recognize that, wow, this person was incredibly valuable to the community. So good morning to Marcia. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good morning, Miss Sue. So I wanted to spend the last portion of today's program talking about, we're doing a series of educational videos, and we played this one last night, but I think it is worth playing again during the program. Thank you, Marcy. I'm sure his family appreciates that. About who you're vaccinated for. So in other words, what is the reason, or who is the reason, I should say, not even what is the reason, but who is the reason for you getting vaccinated. So sometimes we are getting vaccinated for ourselves. Other times we are getting vaccinated for other people. And so this is the first of a couple different interviews that we have done, that we're working on, I should say. This is the first completed one. And I thought it was very interesting to hear why people are doing it. Who are they getting vaccinated for? And so take a few minutes. You really want to stay tuned for the entirety of this video, because the very last one, I must tell you, is actually the most interesting and entertaining one. So Darlene says, with no disrespect, this is the reason referendum must be done right away for term limit to be set for Parliament for all of our MPs. Well, here's the thing about that situation, Darlene. It appears to me that the reason why Alden has checked out, because he has literally checked out, is because he's not in power, because he didn't get back in with his government. He kind of doesn't care. If he'd gotten back in, it's all about, ooh, all eyes on me. Am I not pretty with my slick back hair and whatever? And I'm getting chaperoned around, and So I'm sure he would have been deputy premier had they gotten back in, you see? So, he'd become accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And so I think not having that lifestyle has hit him hard. Maybe he's going through a bit of depression, but the people don't care about that. The people are like, get on with our business. Thank you, Miss Carol. Miss Carol says, oh no, we went to Knox College in Jamaica together, and he was such a sweet person. Derek sends his condolences to his friends and family members. All right, folks, so stay tuned for this. This will take up the remainder of the program, and then we'll just come back and say our goodbyes until tomorrow.
Well, Sandra, I used to, and still do, actually. Haven't done it yet this year, so I'm a bit late with this one, but I used to take the flu vaccine every year. I did it for me because I hate feeling sick, I hate losing productivity. But this vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine that we have been given by the UK for COVID-19, is a vaccine that I decided to take not just for me, but for everybody in my country, my family, my friends, young people, children, the entire country. I felt like I had to be a part of the solution. And I feel like this vaccine is the one tool that we have to help the country address this issue, this public health problem, public health crisis that we have in terms of COVID-19. It is the one tool that the world really has. Yes, there are other vaccines. This is the one we have. This happens to be one that has one of the highest rates of efficacy. And I feel that it is an obligation as a citizen of this country, and obviously even more so now as an elected representative from my constituency, as well as Premier of the country. It's even more of an obligation now to set the right example and to take this vaccine and encourage others to take the vaccine so that we can utilize this as a tool to help us get our country back on track, get our economy reopened, get our borders reopened safely. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be a challenge? Yes. Do people have legitimate reasons to question and to, seek answers? Yes, please do. Please talk to your doctors. Talk to friends even. But don't consult people who are sent to you on videos off YouTube and whatnot. You don't know who these people are. Talk to the people that you know. Talk to your doctors. Talk to the people you trust. These are the people who should be giving you advice and answers on this.
I am, well, this might sound hokey, I suppose, but I'm vaccinating for Cayman. I don't have any specific person that I'm vaccinating for. And anybody who knows me knows I have to tell a story. So I'll tell a very short story. Back last year, in the sort of midst of this, when I was chamber president and we were meeting with cabinet on COVID matters, the Premier asked, would you take the vaccine? And immediately I said, no, I wouldn't. Because it was new and actually it wasn't even out yet, or it was close to that point. But then he looked at us as a chamber team and said, well, but this is not really just you, this is the whole country. We don't get enough vaccines. How do we open the country? And it caused me to pause and say, wow, this is really not just about me. This is about everyone, the whole country. So I took that, I left that meeting and went back and thought about that and talked about it with family and friends. And so at the end of the day, I believe I'm not just vaccinating for myself, but for our country. But I typically don't have this conversation with anti-vaxxers because I think they've made up their mind and they're not really interested in having the conversation. And so fair enough, everybody has a right at this stage of the game to make up their own mind because we haven't gotten into mandates at this point. So notwithstanding mandates, everybody has a right to their own opinion, and so leave it at that. For those that are hesitant and could sort of go either way, I believe it to be the right thing to do. I'll give another short story. My youngest child had childhood cancer as a 1-year-old. She's now 13, doing fantastic. But of course, when it came time to talk about getting vaccine for her, of course, we had a hesitation. Should we give it to her as a 13-year-old? So we called her oncologist at Miami Children's, great people. And their unequivocal advice to us were the right thing to do, and the protocols that we're extolling are for her to get her vaccine. And so that was good enough for me, that my child who has had cancer and her oncologist tell her that the right thing to do is for her to take the vaccine. I believe that this is the right thing to do, and I believe that anybody who's hesitant and who has a chance of doing it should get it done.
After much thought and after taking the medical advice from my doctor, I had a bunch of questions and he answered them to the best of his abilities. I felt comfortable enough to proceed, but the primary reason why I got the vaccine was for my family. The boys, Pilar, she had gone and gotten her vaccine. I thought it was I think it's the responsible thing to do, subject to getting professional medical advice. And then the secondary reason would be, I have a mum who's in California. My mum's 71 years old, and I need to be able to get to her as soon as possible if, God forbid, anything bad should happen, and I didn't want to have any sort of restrictions that prevented me from being able to travel. So those are the primary reasons. And again, once I took the advice from my doctor, I felt really comfortable, given his years of experience, his knowledge, that it was something that I could proceed with. All medications come with some sort of risk, but I chose to listen to professionals as opposed to the average person who doesn't understand virology or isn't a medical professional. I think everyone will have their reasons why they do it. Some believe that it's something that must be done if you're being a responsible citizen. There's some people that for medical reasons cannot, and there's some people that just don't believe and they think that there's a conspiracy. Speak to a qualified medical professional. Get the best advice from a medical professional. Things on the internet can be misleading, but if you have a long-standing relationship with your doctor, take their advice. They know what they're talking about, and trust them on this in the way that you would trust them for the common cold or any other sort of ailment that you have. But speaking to the relevant medical professional would be the thing that I would suggest everybody does, whether it be at the HSA or your private doctor. Get the professional advice and make your decision from there. But understand that you're doing it to safeguard your family, especially young ones that aren't able to get vaccinated, and go from there.
I get vaccinated for myself.
For yourself?
And then, after thinking about it, thought about grandkids, brothers, sisters, family members that I'm always around. So basically that was it. But then thinking going back, with the 2 jabs would be my 7th vaccine that I've taken in the past.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 when I was growing up in East End, young boys, we had to take it to go to school. And then by traveling with being the manager and being part of the delegation, traveling with the national football team, I took about 4 different vaccinations to go to South America and various other countries.
And it was required for you to travel?
Yeah, to travel. So we would do anything to get on the plane. Well, guys, especially to the guys, my guys that maybe have not been vaccinated. Guys, these are the same people I understand that make Viagra. I remember when the Viagra came out, everybody was tripping over taking this Viagra stuff that was made later on, I found out, by Pfizer, right? Mm-hmm. And even though it was said that many people died of heart attack from overdosing on Viagra, mm-hmm. I know hundreds of my friends that are still taking Viagra.
Yeah.
So if Pfizer can make Viagra and we don't know what's in that, why is it we can't take the vaccine to try and save our life from this pandemic?
Very, very funny point there that Graham makes. Like I told you, you needed to stay tuned until the very end because he is hilarious. His point is, you know, listen, I'll be taking Viagra and all kind of other stuff. So why not? Very, very interesting. Now, I want to briefly, before we end the program today, talk about a situation that has been brewing for quite some time with an older gentleman who has cancer. I've received numerous calls during this past week about the man and his condition, which continues to deteriorate. People are sending around a video of him. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't even know how to address this, but let me say this much. Back in May, before the election, it might have been April actually, this man, it was early May. I'm just looking at some messages here. This man came to my attention because someone contacted me about his condition. I think he's originally from the BRAC. He has some connections to the BRAC. And he has cancer that has disfigured him severely. So his ear and part of his face, right? Different organizations have reached out to him in an attempt to offer him assistance, but he has basically said he went to the hospital, they kind of helped him as much as he can. He would need treatment. He would need surgery and different things. And he has said that he doesn't want any. He seems to be competent enough to make these decisions for himself. And he said that he doesn't want any. And so no one can force him. A lot of you anti-vaxxers have been saying this. Well, they can't force me to take a vaccine. Well, they can't force you to take medical treatment. They can mandate vaccines, but medical treatment, you can certainly refuse. If you wish to just die with whatever you have, that is entirely your choice. What has been happening recently, I think, is that he's been out in public. So I got a phone call earlier in the week, Miss Sandra, there's this guy hanging out at the park, at the airport park. This is a very disturbing situation to the children there. It smells horribly because basically it is cancerous skin that is like rotting. And I don't want to show you the pictures because they're extremely disturbing. I've not watched the videos that people sent me because I don't even know if I can stomach it right now. But I have seen the videos and they are, I've seen the photo. Someone sent a still photo and it is unbelievable how much he has deteriorated. I mean, his entire face, like it's open and it's horrible. So the person's like, he's staying at the park, like kids are seeing this, they're being exposed to this, because of his condition, there's an odor, somebody needs to do something. The problem is he doesn't want anybody to do anything for him. So even when people pick him up and take him to the hospital, he will check himself out and just leave. So I don't know what more can be done if he refuses the help. Someone just messaged me last night because this was the person I was dealing with who was trying to help him, one of the people. And I said, our friend is on radar again. And they said, yeah, I know. I couldn't sleep last night after seeing the video. He was hospitalized for quite a while, but walked out, which is what he does. So he doesn't want to stay in the hospital, folks. And unfortunately, he looks really, really bad. Now, I don't know who decided to videotape him, but somebody has, and this tape now is in circulation. So ironically, the last time, I think it was the last time or the time before, one of my recent trips to the BRAC, he was actually on that flight. And he does groan and moan and make a lot of noises. He had his face for the flight covered up. He was wearing his mask and he also had the face covered so that he couldn't openly see it. But of course, with the noises and stuff, I'm guessing he's probably in a lot of pain. And the noises and stuff that he's making, a lot of people were like staring at him. And there were some kids on that flight as well. And they were looking at him, trying to figure out like, what's his issue kind of thing. He has cancer, folks, and he's refusing to be hospitalized. He doesn't want to be hospitalized. He wants to walk out and about. you know, he had an active life at some point. He was, you know, walking around with his coconuts, doing his little hustle in town for many, many years. Someone said to me, which I did not know this, and this is news to me, that apparently he had access to some money and he'd given some Honduran girl $8,000. I don't know where he got the $8,000 from, but that was probably all his little life savings, and he'd given it to some Honduran girl. I don't know what that was all about. And then another person took $4,000 out of his pension drawdown. Why would anyone be trying to take advantage of this poor man? I have no idea. I don't know if he doesn't have any close relatives or really what the situation is, but it's not a good situation, folks. It is very, very dire. And I just wanted to give a little bit of background information on this in terms of how I've come to know about it. And yes, I'm aware of his situation. From May, I have been trying to intervene in some fashion through others, really, not trying to take the lead on this because this really isn't, you know, that type of a situation. But unfortunately, it just hasn't happened. You know, in June, we'd heard there's a rumor circulating June the 6th that he had died. And that rumor, thankfully, was not true. The man, he's tough, I must say. He is hanging in there. So, you know, what we know is that his this is how someone described it, because I'm not going to show you the pictures. It was his ear at one point that was bleeding, was pretty much dropping off. And the doctor took a look at it, and he said that literally you can almost see the inside of him because his face is rotting away from the cancer. He is considered a runner and a hoarder. So that complicates the situation. You know, Art was trying to help, other people were trying to help him. I know Kenneth Bryan was trying to provide some assistance, even if they could have gotten him to clean, proper accommodations and environment, being monitored with medical supplies and food, and just making sure at least he takes that. But it presented an issue. He just wouldn't, there's only so much that he would let people do. So at one point he did go to the hospital, but then he just leaves. So in early June, apparently he took a trip to the BRAC, visiting family. Like I said, I have seen him since then going to the BRAC. So he seems to be able to get back and forth to Cayman BRAC. So yeah, I don't know. What I would suggest, though, that it probably doesn't help his situation to be circulating the videos of him and the images of him. Yes, it's one thing to take them for the purposes of getting him help, knowing that he's refusing to take any help. I'm not really sure what putting those out in the public domain will do, because it seems like it is, you know, being put out there with misinformation, as though no one is trying to help him. And he has been offered help. He has been taken to the hospital, put in the hospital. And then I guess when he starts to feel a little bit better, he just leaves. Sad situation, folks. I don't know what else to say about it, but I did want to discuss it briefly for the purposes of at least notifying you all that I am very much aware of the situation. I've been aware of it since late April, early May. And people have made some serious attempts to try to assist this gentleman, but to no real avail. It's sad. All right, folks. But you know, I mean, I don't know. He's hanging out at the park, I heard, at Airport Park and other places, and people are just finding it very disturbing. But isn't it something that we can find that disturbing, but yet, you know, there are people in the hospital who are dying from such ailments, and they have that's their quality of life. And I guess it's out of sight, out of mind kind of mentality where, you know, if we don't see it, then we're not going to worry about it, I guess. I don't know. Following up on a couple things at the judiciary for you. As you guys know, this week I was in mommy mode kind of full time. So I haven't been to court this week at all. My daughter does go back to school tomorrow. Yay. So I might get a chance to go by tomorrow. There's something that has been brought to my attention, someone that was in court that is sitting on one of the government boards, and people are asking for an update on that. And folks, that's what we're here for. We're just bringing you the information, bringing you the cold hard truth. You do with it as you wish, you know, and it is what it is. We're going to bring you the facts, and you can decide whether it's relevant to what's happening or not. Anyway, good people, please have a wonderful day. It is Thursday. I can't believe how quickly this week went by. I feel like this week went by pretty fast. Tomorrow is Friday. We're going to have, we need to pick a song. If you have any suggestions from 1991 for Blake and Aaron in the morning, send those to us, and we will make a recommendation of their Throwback Friday song. 1991 was a good year. So folks, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Please have yourselves a safe, productive, wonderful day, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.